Welcome here, my friends. Welcome here to another amazing call. For those that were on with us in our Learn call this morning, welcome back for Warrior Marathon on Tuesday. Got 4 hours of calls happening today. There's a lot. For some of you, there's going to be immersive, and I can tell you that back in the day when I first was searching down my truth, when I was trying to find answers to where I was at when I was stuck in 2008 and 9 and 10, I would have died to have a place like this to come home to every week. A place, a community, a place where curriculum was taught, a place where truth could exist, a place where somebody kicked me in the dick and call me to a higher version of myself. Many of you are here because that is what you're looking for also. You're here at WarriorCon 4 and searching down this game and find yourself here at Warrior Launch. There will ultimately end up being thousands and thousands of men who will be here inside of this program called Warrior Launch. But here specifically today, we got about 120 some of you before we begin the massive push to all of our past students and the conversion of individuals from Warrior Shelter and Shield over here to the Launch program. As we begin moving individuals, right now between 800 to 1,000 prospects a week coming through who are purchasing the Warrior book sets from us. The demand of Warrior just continues to go up and up and up and up. Given it's taken us 10, 12, 13 years to get to a point that we are right now, quick little overnight success to the tune of 64 million in a decade, we have worked on with individuals trying to get to a place where we could help you learn how to have it all, ultimately how to be free. That's the mission. That's the mission. And this particular call here with you is specific. It's not about learning like we had in our previous call today. And although the focus of learning is part of Warrior Launch, the biggest focus is you living. And so in today's conversation, we're going to have a different conversation. If you were with us in the call earlier today and or you were part of the Learn experience listening to the replay, we're not going to cover anything I covered there. This call is specific about doing what's required. It's not about the container in your brain of understanding what to do. It's about actually doing what's required. Now, I was sharing this here just a second ago with one of my potential new team members who came into, I actually traveled here. He's here with me today. He's going to be here with me the rest of the week. Could end up being my right-hand man working with me and all the men that I work with one-on-one. It's a lot. I get 9 men, potentially a 10th man I'll be locking down. Been shuffling the deck with my mentorship program. That was a program you heard about, the $500,000 program. We do a lot of deep work with these guys individually, and everything's very customized. One of the great benefits of this group and working with 10 guys a year this way is the fact that it helps me dial the game in, because in most cases, we're pouring down into their executive teams. We're taking the Warriors Way conversation. We're pouring it down into their students and for their people. Some of them are coaches, some are consultants, some are in software, some are in real estate. They're in lots of different places. But the one piece that's interesting amidst all of it is that there is a focus inside of that conversation about results. That results are all that actually matter. In those games, it's not about how much time somebody's on the phone, how much content they consume. None of that matters. All of that is a piece that sets up the actual piece that matters, which is getting results. For a long time, I got stuck in the game of just learning. I would consume books, I would consume content, I would consume ideas, and they were powerful, they were wonderful, they were beautiful. But the problem was in consuming all of this content, in consuming all of this knowledge, I got trapped in this game of actually feeling like I was producing something from simply having new ideas in my mind. How many of you have found yourself in this place before? Type in me in the chat. If you've been in a situation where you have been so passionate about learning, maybe it's you in the Bible and you're like, I'm so passionate about reading the Bible. The problem is you don't become the Bible. You don't become it. You don't become the Word of God. You just simply read the Word of God. I'm not interested as a man in memorizing Scripture if I don't become the Scripture. I'm not. So part of what I want you to understand here inside of Launch is that we want you to learn, but the greatest learning that will occur will come from living. Living is what allows you to learn the most. Let me draw something up for you to help you understand this. So take out some notes, take out a sketch, piece of paper, or a journal. draw this out. Eventually, we'll get that note section inside of the Warrior app so you can actually sketch something that's really powerful. Right now, it's kind of fucked up. It works a little bit, doesn't work great. I don't really like it that much. It'll be there, though. Don't worry. I'll get it there. I'm committed. When we launched software here in 2015, I had one desire. I'm going to share this desire with you, and then we're going to go into the framework. This first framework, I'm going to talk to you around this idea of living. But here was the desire. The desire was I wanted to be able to tell a man where he is. Uh, 2012 was our very first group. For those who were at WarriorCon 4, you got to see Greg Anderson, Sean Whalen. These guys were all part of these original groups. Michael G. Isom, part of the original groups. We had Marty Orifice, who was one of the original 5, came here with his fiance. He was married at the time when he first came to Warrior in 2012, divorced from Sandy, went through a long process of just intense work, found his queen. She's beautiful, she's stunning, she's amazing. I'm so fucking happy for both of them getting married here this next year. But from that time until now, the desire was really simple for me, which is I wanted to be able to tell a man where he is. I didn't want him to tell me where he was. I didn't want to answer the question, where are you at? I wanted to say, here's where you are. Now, there was a reason behind this, and it wasn't because men lie. We knew that was the case. We knew that men lied. What the intention was, I needed a system and a process that we could ultimately have you live in a way that was independent of me, number one. And number two, that had you connected to a higher power than any coach or trainer. So here was the challenge then. What we had forever is we had this idea of the content, and then I had this other side of the spectrum, which was creation, which was a man taking the curriculum or the content of Warrior and then creating with it. But I had this story, and here was a story, that in between those 2 points, you had to have a coach. Now, it was convenient since I was selling coaching that was a story, right? I was saying, well, you have to have a coach. And I'm not taking anything away from being a coach. I have to have coaches in my life. I have coaches and consultants and trainers and therapists. I have all kinds of fucking people in my world give me feedback all the time. So there's not a problem with that. But the challenge was that we had created a model with Warrior that had the content and the creation interceded with a coach. Our models, the way they had been built, the only way a man could live the Warrior's way is if he had a coach right beside him all the time telling him what to do. And it was a lot like passing down the traditions of Buddhism, right? The first time that any of the writings of the teaching of Buddha were written down were 500 years after his death. Jesus Christ and the writings of Jesus were not even written down until 30 years after his death. Christ is crucified, and we're getting the writings, the actual narration through the storyline. Some of you guys can't remember shit from a Tuesday to a Wednesday, and here we're talking 30 years, and 500 years later, things are being written down. So there's this delay or this drag. I'm not saying there's not truth, and I'm not saying there's not power in it, but I wanted to close that gap, that distance between when something was discovered and something was connected and written down. And the only way to do that was to eliminate this middle piece, which was to eliminate the necessity of a coach. A coach was an addition, an acceleration to the experience, but ultimately a man had to connect to the highest form of coach. And the greatest coach that ever could walk in your game is not me. I'm real good. I'm real fucking good at what I do. I'm beyond good. I'm elite. I'll dance. I'm one of the 1% in the world when it comes to the game I'll play. I'll play my game right next to Tony Robbins and anybody else at the top of their game right now. I'll play toe-to-toe with all of them. In my game, the way I do it, the way I do life, right? I've earned the right to put myself in that place. And guess what? As cool as that sounds, it doesn't fucking matter. Fuck you. So fuck you, Garrett. Go fuck yourself. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I can't save you from yourself. My work doesn't change your work. My work created the opportunity for you to do work. But this means that I had to get you to a place where you could feel connected to God as the ultimate coach in your world. And God's willing to tell you where you are all the time, if you'll ask. If you'll ask. How many of you have actually been at a certain level, even afraid to tell the full truth to yourself or to even acknowledge the full truth of what's going on inside of you? Type in hell yes in the chat. Like, I'm talking like some of the scary thoughts that sometimes you have. Scary thoughts of violence, scary thoughts of anger, scary thoughts of frustration, desire. Every single one of you on here have wanted to fuck somebody else's wife. Every single one of you have had a thought with your buddy's wife or some hot woman that walked in and you thought, man, in your brain you thought, I want to fuck her. You may not have said fuck because you don't use that word, but your brain went to penis in her vagina. I'd like to come on her stomach. As gross as that sounds, as weird as crash as that sounds, there's a fucking piece to our brains as men that just operates a certain way. And we've been taught, trained, and educated to ignore this. We've been taught by religion, we've been taught by the government, and we've been taught by society to shut it all off. And I'm just going to have you consider that being here, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. God is actually wanting you to be fully aware of all that you are. And that your darkness is not your curse, your darkness is your gift. And that God's going to meet you in the darkness faster than he's going to meet you in the light. How many of you found this to be true for you? Where you actually find more connection, communion with a higher power in your pain and in the darkness than you do inside of the light and the pleasure. Type in me in the chat if this is you. It blows my mind how much it happens for me. I can go to church, I can be in a service, which I have no problem with it. I love it. I love worship music. I think it's beautiful. It's inspiring, makes me feel good. I was listening to some worship music this morning while I was working out. Felt inspired, even started crying a little bit while I was running on the treadmill. It was weird. It's great. It happens quite often, actually. I just get emotional, just let it out. Just like cry. I don't even know what I was crying about. I was just feeling like on fire, feeling good about life. And tears started coming. I was like, great, let's go. Here we are. But inside of all of that peace, we put all that worship music aside, we put all of that aside. There's a peace inside of all of this that I am looking for you to access, and it only comes through living the Warrior's Way. It won't come from learning. It will not come from you reading. It will not come from you studying. It will not come from you dialoguing about the content of Warrior. That is what the learn stage is about. It will only come through the process of living. And so this piece that we're looking at is this piece where God is trying to step in and be your coach. I'm not trying to be your coach. I'm going to be your guide. I'm going to be a facilitator with Coach Trevor and a series of the team that are going to be here to support you and help you win. That's our goal. Our goal is to get you to learn to live the Warrior's Way. Our job is to get you to the Warrior Crucible event for 3 days here in my office in Dana Point HQ. You don't pay any more for that event. You just have to finish the work required. You come to it. When you come to that event, your experience inside of Warrior Launch will be complete. You will earn the right to move forward into the Warrior Council. Right? Or to move forward and just live the game on your own and do what you're going to do, or stay part of Launch wherever you want to go. But there is a culminating experience that we are doing all this work for. It is the stamp of approval, what I call certification. Now, people look at this and they say, well, why are we pushing towards this certification? See, certification doesn't come from learning anything. Certification comes from living. Certification in our world says that you have fruit to back up the actions that you have taken. There's results that you have produced from the work. You have shown not only a competency, but you've also proven that the work works inside of your life. That you can teach it and that you can live it. So I'm going to put a statement on the board. I'm going to say a prayer. We're going to get started for today. You're going to get into a breakout and you're going to talk about this statement. The simple statement guides this game. It guides who I want you to be. It guides what the man next to you needs you to be. It guides what God is calling you to be. It guides across the board. It's not complicated. It's very simple. Here's a statement. Lead from what you live. Two key words. Lead from what you live. So the live call is about getting you to become that leader. Are you going to go on to be a coach? Not necessarily. Many of you will, though. Many of you will go on from this place, I promise you, over the next 12 to 24 to 36 months, there'll be men right now on this exact call, this first call. You're running other businesses, you're running other companies. You're going to go head first into this game with the Warrior's Way, and you're going to see That between the software, the coursework, the curriculum, between what you learn to live here, that the fruit becomes so potent that God reaches down and calls you to stand and rise as a beacon and a leader for men, for women, for couples, for children. You're going to be called into this fight. And the crazy part is you get to profit from doing it. For others, this is going to be a game that you're going to be called to bring towards your organizations. You're going to be called to bring it into your families. But nonetheless, then, it doesn't matter whether you're coming to build something full on in a coaching business or whether you're just going to become a coach in your business. Nonetheless, we want you to become an example of the way. Certification means that you have proven that you have done that. It doesn't mean you came to a 3-day boot camp and now you're certified. No. Certification is about trying to turn you into a trainer or coach. Certification is about us being able to say, dude, you did the work, well fucking done. It answers and allows me to answer this simple desire and question, which is I want to be able to tell a man where he is. And the only way for me to do that is to connect him back to God and give him the tools and weapons to go fight. If you get what I'm talking about, type and I get it in the chat. Type and I get it in the chat if you get what I'm referencing here. Again, I just want you to catch some concepts as we get started. We're going to get connected in this, and we're going to talk with Father for a second and see if we can't get your minds and hearts on the same page together so that we can get more done today. Okay, here we go. Go and close your eyes. Go and close your eyes. Go and close your eyes. I realize I don't do this the way everybody does. We don't do anything the way everybody does around here. I follow as best as I can. Not perfectly. I follow it as best I can, what I feel is going to be highest serving good for all of us inside of this experience. So we're going to go ahead and keep our eyes closed. We're going to take some deep breaths. Deep breath in, number one. And hold your breath. And release. And deep breath in, number two. And hold. And release. And number three. And release. And one more deep breath in. And hold. And release. Just breathe normal. Father, we thank you for the chance to be here together, to be here as men, to be in different countries, different time zones. You know, it's crazy that all of us were led here to this place in such different ways. Many of us led here in a way that seems just impossible to get here. The ways, the conversations, the way we were introduced, and it's also impossible for us to ignore what it is we're feeling around this place, Father. Today, I would ask that your guidance would be with these men, that there would be a peace that would surround the words that I and the other men share with them, that as they sit in breakout conversations, as we come to understand what it is to live the warrior's way, that they would see there, I get even there's a sense that some are feeling blocked, Father, with how this plays into their theology and the way they deal with you and their relationship with you. And Father, I'd ask today that you would allow those questions to be answered inside their hearts, that there would be an ability to see that we are not adding to anything that they hold sacred, but nothing when we're adding tools and giving tools to them. Father, help them see these tools are useful, these tools are powerful, that they can use these tools to their improvement in their marriages and with their kids. As we sit, Father, and we discuss through this today, I would ask for also a special gift of patience to be kind of rested upon their hearts and upon the minds of the men here in this group, that even now they would begin to feel, thank you, I can feel that, they can feel this, thank you for bringing this almost this blanket of peace that allows for them to push out and usher out just for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, push out any of the noise that's here. Stress with their marriage, stress with the kids, stress with possibly a change in their position in business and life, their jobs. And that just here right now that they could be here in this place, that they could feel the power in this place being here with you, that you would give them the eyes and the ears to understand and interpret what I'm saying today, that if there's moments of confusion, that confusion itself would be clarified, not through my voice, Father, but through yours, that they would find a relationship with you here, not a relationship with me, that they would come understand that the reason of living this way is not to take away from anything they have, but simply to add to what they already have, to give them access to the experience of you, to give them access to the true divine relationship with you that they're all searching and dying for inside, that this desire inside would be met today at a certain level, that we as men would come together, that this would become a sacred place on the Live Call, where men can return on a weekly basis and report the things they've learned from living the Warrior's Way. When they can return and report on the things they've learned from living this game inside of this amazing life that you've created for us, this gift, this opportunity to be here as divine beings, as your children. And Father, today as we go and ask the questions that they have that could be stumbling blocks for them, allow those questions to just hover and be there, and let them know inside their hearts that they'll be answered, and that there are a lot of questions that are just going to be answered in time, and they don't need full answers for them right now. Today, they just get to be here. And that's our prayer as we get started this day, Father, in the sacred name of Jesus Christ. Amen. So let's dive into this statement. And we're going to go into a breakout. I'm not going to talk to you anymore about it. Lead from what you live. Many of you have heard me reference this idea before, so it's not something radically new, but it's something that has to mean something to you, because that's what the Live Call is about. It's not about leading from what you know, it's leading from what you live. It's not leading from what you've memorized, it's leading from what you live. It's not about leading from what you theorize, but it's leading from what you live. So we're going to go into a breakout. This breakout's going to be 6 minutes. During this breakout, every man's going to get a chance to share about what he sees in this. What does this mean? Lead from what you live. Lead from what you live. And the second part of this question is, what are you seeing happening around you in society, from politicians to religious leaders to society leaders to social media to education? What are you watching happen, by the way, regardless of whether you live in the United States at all? The United States of America, although I love being here in this country, we have got some serious fucked up problems going here in this country. So a lot of Americans like to talk shit about other countries. If you're here from another country, it's not the United States of America. We welcome you as brothers, as kings in Christ. Welcome. This is not a place for me. We got plenty of shit to clean up here. If you're from the United States of America inside this group and you know we got some shit to clean up in this country, please type in the word hell yes. Like there, we got problems dripping out of every fucking orifice and hole that we have as a country. It's ridiculous. Like I would say that at some level we're the epicenter of the problems of humanity, which is not what a lot of people want to hear, but man, we are, including some seriously ridiculous statistics like the #1 consumption of sex-trafficked children are men from the United States of America. Isn't that the wildest shit? So, be with it. There's consequences coming everywhere for what we play and how we live. Today we're going to talk about this. Let's start off the conversation, lead from what you live. We got inside this 6 minutes. 6 minutes in the conversation with all of us. 6 minutes with all of us. We're going to talk through this, and then we'll come back as a group and we'll see where we're at. If you're clear about what we're going to do on this, go ahead and type in the word clear so I know we're clear. Type in the word clear so we know we're clear. Clear, clear, clear. Here we go. All right, Ram, you know what to do. We got 5 minutes on the clock. Let's go 6 minutes. 4 guys, 5. Let's go 6 minutes. 6 minutes on the clock on this group. We'll go 4 to 5 guys per group. You know what time it is, gentlemen. It's time for us to share. 3, 2, 1. Off we go. We got no Trevor, so just leave me. Oh, I love it. Here we go. Here we go. Nick, you sexy son of a bitch. What's up? Oh, I can't hear you, buddy. Muted on your side.
I got you.
There you are. All right, my man.
White, brother. I love you, brother.
I love you, man.
I love you, man.
I love you, too.
I have thought about you every day, potentially every hour of every day since I left hugged you. I am down 10 pounds. I go to the gym every fucking day at 5 a.m. I leave my home in the cold and in the dark in Seattle, and it's raining at 4:59 a.m. And I say, Garrett told me to hunt down my kid. I have written a half-page novel that I will share with you in person someday.
Good.
I have more stories of things that I saw in the spirit when the death of me occurred. That was a funeral, brother, and the fat man is dead. So I won't take all of our time here thanking you, but I know that I could. I could fill every second thanking you for what God did to me through you on that stage. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's
For more
beautiful.
on what you do.
Oh, well, I love that you're here. You're going to be a huge case study. Nick Long was happy. I got all kinds of people took photos of that. Send me pictures. You have no idea how many people you've inspired with that. So hold tight. We're going to come back to you here in a second. Jamie, talk to me. Lead from what you live. What does this mean?
Yeah, so what I'm gathering from this is that we need to dive in and we can only teach from what we're doing on a consistent day-to-day basis. Whether that's body being balanced business, we can sit here and show up very powerfully and weak in other areas of life. We should be able to bring everything together and teach and lead from our position of what we're doing every single day. So that's what I gathered.
Beautiful. Addition. Kyle, what do you got?
Hey, so I was a senior master sergeant in the Air Force, and in order to be a good NCO, you had to live a certain way. You couldn't be the duffel bag, you had to iron uniforms, you had to do that sort of thing. Transferred over to my work as well with doing cybersecurity, you have to live a certain way. But nothing gets into how you are with God, how you are with your wife, your family, unless you're doing illegal things. You know, how much money you have. I have enough money to live, but not the abundance. So leading by what I live is going to expand into more parts of my life, not just the basics, not just the illegal, like I'm doing illegal shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the baseline of having military experience is going to benefit you. It'll also be a block too. All my men who are veterans, who have served in the military, all come with a gift, which is they've learned some discipline. Many of them have forgotten this discipline, so we're here to remind them of that discipline. And we get to hear tales of 20 years ago, back when they were such a savage, and now we're like, well, appreciate, but your 20-year-old self can't show up here to save you today. Your 48-year-old self is kind of fucked. So how about we get that guy back on path? The piece that's an obstacle, though, is the fact that the feeling side of the equation has not been a conversation. So leading from what I live emotionally and in feelings has been the weakest piece of all my military men, and we've had hundreds of very powerful men, including SEAL Team 6, who was at WordCom 4, guys sitting and observing that nobody saw. This is a piece that they're trying to find. So I love and appreciate that you're here. Well done. Angus, what do you got? Add to this conversation. Lead from what you live.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. No matter where we are or what we're doing in life, we're teaching. Whoever's interacting with us on a daily basis, obviously starts with ourselves, family, and goes out to our workplace and anyone else that we touch. They're observing us. They're looking at us at every time, and we are a beacon whether we like it or not. As you said, whether we decide to be a coach or not, we are a coach. We are teaching this. And we are an example, and people will see that, and our connection, our divine connection, will be that energetic feeling behind what they see for us. So the importance of living, you can't exude that shit when you need to. It's got to be there to start with. So, and that's where the living piece comes in. You can't exude it if you haven't lived it. So you've got to live it so you can exude it when you need to.
Well done. ThePickyPainters.com, 2-book now. All right, I have no idea who this is. Give me your name, you stallion. While you're driving down the road, do not get in a car accident or a truck accident.
Oh, hey, yeah. Yeah, it's Joe Sturbick.
All right.
My phone, that's why I got it.
It's all good,
I'm in
Joe.
the van right now. We had the lead to live.
Talk to me.
Yeah,
what
I
is
got
it?
sucked back into the field, so.
That's all right. Talk to me. What do you get? What are you hearing?
Lead to live, I mean, that's, I've been working on this for a while, trying to do what I say. I mean, I've been kind of coaching up my guys. And I mean, I don't know, they're kind of receptive, but I don't think they all are. They're not willing, most people willing to put in the work, like most of us guys are hopefully willing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it says it for itself, right? Be the example. I've been trying to do that for my son and, for everybody I interact with. Yeah, my name's Joe, too. So.
Joe. I love it, Joe. I love that you're here. I know you're moving around a bit, but I appreciate that you're here. Nick, I'm going to have you share in front of the whole group the same question. So listen, Jamie, Kyle, Angus, Joe, Nick, I love that you're here. I better fucking see some serious case studies out of you yahoos. This is what I expect. All right, back to the main room we go. All right, so let me find my man Nick, who didn't get a chance to share in our group, but he's going to right now. Let me see where he is. Nick, wave your hand. There he is. All right, I got him. Okay, so talk to me about this lead from what you live principle. What do you get?
Hey, Coach. So I see things in a new light now, obviously. I now go to the gym at 5 a.m. every morning. The fat man is dead.
I like
Fat
it.
man is dead. I had an experience that changed my life. Thank you, Garrett. I thank God for you, and I thank God for what He did in me and through me. I now go to the gym at 5 a.m. and when I tell people what happened to me, it's amazing to see the look on their face. They go, "Wow, that was amazing." You go to the gym every day at 5 a.m. Like the 5 a.m., the work, the fruit of the work is even more fascinating than the story. First of all, they can't wrap their head around the story, including my wife. Hardly I can.
Did we get you the video footage of it yet?
I just saw the day 4 sprint, so I think it's there. But
Okay,
I would
cool.
like some more of a hard asset.
Yeah, we'll give that to you. So here's a piece. I want you to pause real quick on this. Lead from what you live. Come away from the body for a second.
Yeah.
What does this mean? Lead from what you live.
In business, I've always said that if you want to know what your business looks like, take a look in the mirror. Because who you are and what you do will create outcomes and effects that ripple through your people, ripple through your clients, ripple through your processes, systems, and strategies. So who you are embodies what you do. And so when you lead from the front, it creates others to live in that vein. And so when you're leading from a place of living, your confidence is through the roof, and it becomes not something you preach, but something that you just simply do. People are drawn to that, and people start to emulate that instantaneously, subconsciously, without even knowing you're doing it.
Well done. What this really says across the board is the guy who's talking to me does what he's telling me, which is I'm leading from results. I'm leading from results. I'm not leading from reasons. I'm not leading from theory. It's fun that for the years and years you've been telling people you want to know about your business, look in the mirror. I don't know what that says about your business. What we do know is that the man that you're going to become in business from the man that you already are, which from what I hear is you've done some pretty cool shit, so good job. Thank you. And that means that what you've done, you did with like a 150-pound cinder block drug around your neck while doing it. I tell this to my guys all the time. Look at the shit you did operating at 5%. Imagine what shit you're gonna do when you're operating at like 50%. They're like, Coach, I'm gonna go 100. I said, don't get greedy. We're trying to get 50% above the 4%, and look at the shit you already built. That's a lot of guys that work with one-on-one. Get it, same piece. So beautiful share, Nick. Love that you're here. Love that you're part of this group. You're gonna be a leader far, far, far into the future with this thing. I already know it.
I know it too, Garrett. Thank you, brother.
You got it. So there's this principle then of leading from what you live, and I'm going to draw some more things out for you, and we're going to talk about them so that we can get it, because living itself comes with challenges. You know, anytime I live, I'm experiencing life, and life itself in this world has a purpose, And I've searched for it, asked this question many times. What is the purpose of my life? People have asked, it's not new. You hear me say that, you're like, well, that's not new, Coach. I'm not inspired by that shit. I was like, yeah, I know, because everybody asks that question. What is the purpose of my life? Every man has asked this question of himself. You will never stop asking this question of yourself. And you're going to come to different ideas and different concepts of what this means to you. Here's what we stood on for about 10, 12 years here at Warrior. It shifted recently, and I'll share what the shift is. The purpose of my life was expansion. This is what we have been operating off at work. This is why we live. when I take a place and I'm standing here in my current reality, and then we look at this 10x possibility or impossibility of freedom that sits way over here. We look at the example of Nick being 195 pounds. We say, okay, well, to become that free, this is going to require expansion. This is going to require growth. I'm going to have to become more. This was a statement. Become more. So for a decade, we've been teaching it this way. Still very true. But recently this year, I was inserted to a new conversation where I felt God kind of prompting me to look at this different. That the purpose of my life is not to become more. The purpose of my life is to reveal more. Of who I've always been. My mind had always been in the game of it is to become something I was not. It is to expand into a place I have never been before, hence creating a version of me that never existed. And what I've come to understand as a deeper level of truth after a decade plus of teaching, training, and moving this direction is that you're here to reveal what you have always been. In Nick's case, six-pack is there, it's just covered up. It's already there. This is why you can take bodybuilders or fitness professional. My wife will enter her third fitness competition, bikini competition here in about 3 weeks. There's a process in the last like 2 weeks where they cut water out and they cut out all this shit, and my wife will she just like become skin and muscle. It's impressive. Well, all of the shredded muscle, it's always there. The process of her diet sucks everything else away except for the muscle and the skin and a little bit of fat. You and I have a version of us that we are hunting down that already exists. Follow me with this. There is a version of you that already exists today. When I live the warrior's way, I am revealing more of that full version of myself every day that I choose to live the warrior's way. This means the results that exist for me in a version of me that seems impossible today are already available also. The gap between these two is a pursuit. Let me give you a simple example. Sex as a conversation has been fairly rough. I shared with you this at WarriorCon 4. It's been a really rough deal. From sexual abuse between 5 and 8 from my uncle. It just fucked me up to the point that my brain blocked out most of my childhood before the age of 10. Just didn't have a lot of memories. Like my brain just was so traumatized, it boxed up my whole experience to survive and just blocked it away. People talk about kindergarten and first grade. I was like, I don't remember any of that shit. As that trauma started to unwind itself and I could see it, it really affected how my sexuality was with my wife. It's led me to cheat, led me to do a lot of stupid shit because I was just really fucked up inside about sex. I didn't know how to deal with it. I was uncomfortable with it. I didn't know how to process the experiences. So it was very awkward for my wife and awkward for me. May not be the case for many of you. Maybe you guys have figured out. For me, though, I was pretty fucked up about it. So this became a pursuit over and over and over again. I was pursuing it. And I didn't know how. In 2009, at the peak of my just fall, the pit of all pits, right before I would cheat on my wife, just before that, a couple months before, I remember a specific situation where I was just begging, literally begging for my wife to give me a handjob. Just to fucking touch me. We'd gotten so off track as a couple and so off track I just wanted to be touched. Just to be fucking felt, just to feel wanted at some level. Now, this is 2009. We go from begging for handjobs and cheating, all in the same year while my wife is pregnant. Not exactly winning, poster child for Warrior's Way. Like I was the precursor to the man that I became now. Now let's fast forward. 2 nights ago, my wife and I, we have sex for about 2.5 to almost 3 hours. Like the control factor I have with my release of orgasm is exceptionally high. The intimacy and connection that my wife and I have, it's soul level. It's beyond sex. It's beyond orgasm. People hear 3 hours. I would have been the guy here 3 hours. I'm like, that's fucking insane. There's no possible way. And yet it was. Interacting, connecting, bonding, penetration, connecting, kissing, massaging, hugging, holding, resting, being with one another, sweaty bodies, etc. It was a spiritual experience for me that was beyond anything physical. When I put those two realities together, what I experienced just 2 nights ago with my wife, which is normal and natural for us as a couple, and I put together the guy that was begging for hand jobs and the guy that cheated on his wife just a few months later while she was fucking pregnant, you fucking asshole. I put those two guys together and it seems impossible that they're the same human being. Yet they are, but they're not. The guy today is a guy that's revealed. God has revealed more through me today about who I am as a man than who I was back then. This revelation or revelatory experience is the reason we do the work and why we live it here. Our goal is to reveal what you have always been. There is a version of you that when lit on fire, your wife wants to be with this man, craves this man sexually, emotionally, mentally, craves this man in ways that defy logic, to the point that there is a longing and a desiring throughout the day into the evening that it seems ridiculous. On the flip side, there's a version of you that makes millions in take home a year. Millions. A version of you that doesn't think twice about booking a private flight for his family to go to Mexico, doesn't think twice about paying for a vacation for the kids, doesn't think twice, wants a car on a Saturday, buys a car for cash on Saturday if he wants to. There's a version of you that takes his shirt off and walks around town, has no problem, feels absolutely fucking powerful, feels fierce, walk around naked in his own home, feels like amazing, no problem standing butt-ass naked in front of his spouse, feels proud of the body that he has, feels weaponized, confident, mobile, agile, moving down the road. There's a version of you that feels deep communion with God, that has the ability to listen to God's voice in a direct relationship and conversation. Not hoping while reading the scripture that something inspiring will happen. No. That's wonderful. The Bible's amazing. I'm talking about shutting the Bible and going directly to the source. No different than the men who wrote it. They weren't reading before they went to him. They just went to him. But many of you are so stuck in reading, you forgot to go to him. You forgot that he existed before the book. You forgot that he was speaking before the book. You forgot that he was preaching and speaking and leading and created this world for you and I long before the need for salvation. Living is about experiencing the revelation and the revelatory experience of showing more of who you are to your spouse, more of who you are to your children, more of who you are to the world around you. Let me see what I'm talking about. Type in, I see it. So there's some obstacles that we're going to face to pull this off. Once you learn the Warrior's Way, we got to live it. We got to do the work. Workshops and events are amazing, right? You're going to go through a series of them. You're going to experience some back map events. You're going to experience a meditation retreat. You're going to experience a soul purpose intensive. And ultimately, you're going to find yourself at the Warrior Launch Crucible. You're going to find yourself here with me, toe to toe, and I'm going to expect you to go through and prove your shit in front of me and the council. Can you actually do this? Did you actually live the Warrior's Way? Don't fucking bullshit me. I'm done building an organization and a movement of men who don't actually live the way. It's not half the way, not partial the way, it's all the way. This is why Warrior Launch exists. I'm not after what happens 12 months from now. I'm after what happens 10 years from now. I'm after what's happening 20 years from now when I'm 66 years old. And there are millions and millions and millions of men and women and children and families that are being impacted every month by men like you who choose to rise inside of this place. where we choose to link arm in arm in a fortress of light to build and redefine what it is to be fathers, redefine what it is to be husbands, redefine what it is to be men of God, redefine what it is to be kings in Christ, redefine what it is to be producers, redefine what it is to be truthful, to be honest, and to be connected. One of the first obstacles that we're going to run into in this entire process is the way you see the world. Biggest obstacle to living this game is your perspective. Write these down because you're going to be teaching them. Your perspective or your paradigm is the biggest challenge or obstacle. Your perspective drives clarity. So no matter what it is you're experiencing right now, I know you've heard this. I'm not sharing anything breaking with you. You're going to find that what happens in Warriors, everything's very simple. Our focus is on results. Men don't win here because we have a complicated system. Men win here because we have a simple system in which we demand they live and get results from what they are learning. Perspective. The way I see things. You're hearing it from Nick. Nick's excited. He's waking up at 5 a.m. He's going to the gym. His perspective changed. Why? He had a pretty dramatic experience. Made him take his shirt off in front of everybody at WarriorCon Forum. We had 1,000 men watch me, slap him on his belly. I took my shirt off and stood right next to him. Said, here we are. Our perspective, I get it. So when Nick says, and he's pumped up, I wake up at 5 o'clock, I'm like, of course. Like, why the fuck would you sleep past 5 o'clock? But yeah, of course you wake up at 5 o'clock. I've been waking up at 4 o'clock, 4:30 my entire life. Like, working out in the morning, that's not rocket science. I've been doing that shit forever, Nick. Get it. Totally get it. So what you're going to see is there's going to be moments where your perspective shifts. And what happens inside that perspective shift is that there is a frame or a container. Nick had a frame or a container around the way he sees his body. This is frame number one. In order to see and operate differently with his body, we have to have what is called the paradigm shift, or a alteration of perspective. A new level of clarity has to happen, and frame number two has to open up. So what is it that gives us this power of perspective in living the Warrior's way, right? Because we have all the curriculum and learning it. But what is it that's going to give us this? It's when we start to live the code. The code is the foundational piece that allows us to start accessing the truth of perspective. But the code allows us to get honest about two specific things. It allows us to get honest about where we are and at the same time allows us to get honest about where we desire to go next. Without this foundational piece, this obstacle of perspective becomes an impossible barrier to entry. You will not grow. You will not expand. You will not live the Warrior's way if we can't bend your perspective. And in many cases, break it. I deal with multiple $1 million problems now. I used to deal with $100 problems. It was stressful dealing with $100 problems, and it was stressful dealing with multiple $1 million problems. The difference, I'm not a billionaire. I will be. I'm not yet. I will be. And when I'm at that place, that guy will know how to solve problems that this current guy doesn't. That guy will look at money different. He will operate different, think different, create different, produce different. I've been saying this for a long ass time. I've been telling people from the very first day that I left being a PE teacher and a football coach and pursued the conversation of wealth and money. That entire pursuit 21 years ago, I've been telling people, like, yeah, but you're not. Yeah, but you're not. I know, but I'm shifting from the inside out what I'm seeing about myself and what I'm seeing about the world. And inside of shifting that perspective, it's changing my behaviors. It's changing my attitudes. It's changing what I believe is possible. 2 levels. Where am I at? Where am I committed to going? Here inside the Live Call, this is an opportunity for you to check in every week on what you've been living. This gets to be looked at as a general's tent, if you want it, an opportunity to return and report. That's the purpose of this call. You're coming here to live, to return and report on what you have been living. And inside of that return and report, to be honest to the men around you and here inside of breakout groups and here with myself and the coaching team, to return and report on what you have actually done. In living the Warriors way, not in learning it. And what have the results been from doing that? That return and report is linked up to the ability to discover inside of that return and report, where do you need to course correct? And again, write all this down. You're going to be teaching this here in just a second. What do I need to change? See, my perspective changes when I have to be accountable to the things that I say I'm going to do. Here's what I said I was going to do. Then you show up and you didn't do it. You're like, I said I was going to do these 5 things. How many did you do? I did 0 things. The fuck are you doing? Why did you do 5? Why did you do 0 things? And here comes all the stories. Well, this and this and this and this. So we as a group inside the Live Call, this is an opportunity for you to have radical accountability with each other. Many of you inside of this, I'm going to encourage you to use the chat and use the tribe sections. We're running updates on those sections every 7 to 10 days, improving the speed, effectiveness, and efficiency. By the end of this year, workplace will be gone. We will no longer operate inside of Slack the way we've been operating. Everything for Warrior will operate inside of the tool. Massive updates rolling over the next 6 weeks. To what you already see. I am encouraging you to gain traction inside of that by having returning reporting and course correction and accountability happening on a daily and weekly basis with other men inside of the Warrior app. How many are clear about the 2 sections I'm talking about with Tribe and Chat? We're going to talk about those on our second hour today. How many are clear about those? Type in clear into the text, into the chat so I know you're clear. Is there some pieces that can improve in them? Of course there is. Are they going to get faster? Yes. Am I using it every day? Yes. All of my current one-on-one mentor students, all of my current mastermind groups that I work at the high level, all of my teams, all of us operate directly inside of the chat right now. Where it operates very much like Slack does. Now, what else needs to happen? I've got to be able to identify my lessons learned. So coming into this call every single week is ability for you to learn from what everyone else is learning too. It's not just a process of coming in and saying, well, here, let me sit and be entertained by Garrett or Coach Trevor or Coach Nick or Coach Corwin or Coach Matt or whoever else is on board that week. No. It's an opportunity for you to learn from each other. Some of the biggest learning that you'll have is going to come in dialogue and conversation with other men inside of Warrior Launch. You're going to build brotherhood and friendship here through the living of the way. Quickly, you'll watch. Guys that don't live it, you'll just start dropping those guys. Guys that aren't living the way, you'll just stop hanging out with them. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Type in fire in the chat if you've been a Warrior in the past and there's been guys who've not been living and you're like, I'm going to fucking stop hanging out with that guy who just wants to jerk himself off 24/7 and never do any fucking work. This is part of the reason why we increased the price and we changed the frame on this, while we're eliminating Shelter and Shield and we put everybody into Launch. The Shelter calls are happening the rest of this year, but in 2023, it's shifting. So we're going to do a return to report. We're going to have course correction. We're going to have lessons learned. And then on the final pieces, we're going to set new targets. All of this is around this first obstacle, which is perspective. I can't do anything to help you if you can't see correctly. Nothing will change. I cannot help you if you continue to stay stuck in the world that you see. So obstacle number 1 is perspective. Write that down in your notes. Obstacle number 1 is perspective. We have to overcome your perspective. We have to overcome the way your brain thinks. Your brain, doing the very best it could, created the life you have. And in some of those areas, it's great. And in some of those areas, it's nonsense. In some of those areas, it is flat out disgusting that you've allowed your life to hit that place. How many of you have a domain in your life that to you, not to anybody else, to you, it's disgusting to you? The fact that you've allowed it to get to where it is, type in hell yes in the chat if that's you. And I get it. This was 3/4 of my life for years. By 2009, dude, my balance was fucked. My business was fucked. My body was fucked. Everything was fucked. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to walk around. I was embarrassed to be around powerful men. I was scared. I was nervous. I was terrified. It was not a good place to be. That's why I often joke around with men in kind of a serious way. I said, listen, any woman that would cheat with you at the pit of your experience is not a woman that you should brag about. Get what I'm talking about? Type in yes in the chat if you get what I'm talking about on that one. That's why guys will be like, well, this woman gets me. I was like, this woman doesn't get you. She gets you at the weakest place ever. She gets you because she's not your queen. She gets you because she gets to just be a woman you hang out with. She don't understand. The queen understands. The queen understands how fucked up you've been for so many years in certain areas of life, and she's just done with it. Yes, victims in the pit together. It's a scary place, and that's where I was. Just endorsing each other in our victimhood. Okay, we're going to talk about this. Obstacle number 1, perspective and clarity. This is the obstacle to living. I'm going to talk about what the tool is inside of code, how we're going to deal with this. We're going to go into a 5-minute share on this. Each group is going to be 4 or 5 guys per group, 5 minutes on this. Just going to be rapid fire. What are you picking up from this? What are you seeing from this? What is this meaning to you? This first obstacle we've got to overcome called perspective and the power of clarity. If you're ready to go on this, type in clear to the chat so I know you're clear. Let's go. Give me clear, give me clear, give me clear. Give me clear, give me clear, give me clear. We've got a bunch of frameworks to roll through, so we're going to keep going. Here we go. Clear, clear, clear. Beautiful. All right, here we go. We got 5 minutes on the clock. 4 or 5 guys per group. 3, 2, 1. Off we go. All right. Let's go, Jermaine. Jermaine, what's up, my man? Give it to me.
What's going on?
What are you seeing? What are you seeing with this?
Purpose and what I wrote down. Our perspective. Perspective drives clarity. How do you see things? Perspective shifts. And what I did was when I seen your containers, it was almost like you were taking things out of one container in order to fill it up with something that actually empowers you. By getting honest about where you are right now and where you want to be next.
Yep. Beautiful. Where's one area where you want to see the biggest growth for you?
My marriage.
Okay. All right. How long have you been married?
5 years, 6 years, and together maybe 11.
Okay. Got it. Kids?
Yeah. 4.
Okay. 4 kiddos. All with her?
No, 3 of them with her, and then she had 1 prior to me.
Okay, got it. We got a 4-pack. I got a 5-pack. I get it. That's a lot.
Yep.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, beautiful. Brian, what do you got? What are you seeing on this?
I'm just seeing that, if we're going to go somewhere, we need to know where we're starting, where we want to go, and half the time where we're starting is clouded with our own kind of bullshit or perspectives that we think we're doing better off, we think we're doing great, and that's not going to even get us to the first step, never mind to the final destination. So that's what I'm seeing right now, is that getting beyond that lies the current perspective, so I can see where I want to be.
Impossible to hunt something down that you cannot see
Right, yeah.
as a possibility.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm looking at it as the constant assessment, looking at where we're at, making adjustments, course corrections, the lessons that need to be learned from where we failed so that we can move forward in the areas that we just keep tripping up on ourselves on. So we can create those new targets.
How have you found the most effective way to shift your perspective in the past? What have you done or been able to do to shift the way you think?
Honestly, it's been the few times that I've done the stack, I haven't been a pro at it at all. I've really struggled with having that be a consistent thing when I have done that. Having that honest, raw reflection of where I'm failing. It's that inner voice that comes up that actually begins to point directions of what the next step is.
Awesome.
It becomes very clear. It's like, this is what I need to do. You know, it may be very difficult. Now I gotta struggle with that, and then it's that next move, that pivot to taking some sort of action.
Clear. Kyle, what do you got?
Yeah, this kind of opened up my mind a lot, and I think this is going to change my stack game. So the way I see it is you have the frame 1 of where you currently are, the frame 2 to where you want to go, and in between that, to get to where you want to go, you need to have the code to gain perspective, and then it starts with looking at the facts of your current situation to see where you are, because you can't change if you're lying about your current situation to get to where you want to go next. So, you know, it creates that paradigm shift whenever you get to the facts of where you want to go and you see that, then you have the focus to be able to create the fruit that you want. So really, like, I see how being the code in with real raw relevant results plays all the way through the whole thing. And I don't know why, but I was not seeing it before when I stacked. And at the end of all my stacks, I always have the one word that comes up is clarity. And I think it's that I need more clarity, not that I'm actually clear.
Wow. Yes. Well done. Johnny Rojas, what do you got?
So for me, a perspective without a clear end goal result, without a result, is a lie. I've found myself many times playing a game where I gave myself perspective, but I really didn't have anything to benchmark it against. There was no real, like, no shit, I'm going to accomplish this goal, and I'm going to measure everything I do to that goal to get perspective on. And what it allowed me to do was just kind of hide in a lie that actually let me stay in that place for a prolonged period of time. And so I'm learning, and I've learned that every single thing that I'm chasing has to have a clear, measurable target, so that when I'm in a stack, I can actually measure my results to that particular target that I'm aiming for.
You guys getting this?
Yeah.
Yeah. John is a veteran around here, so he's going to sound super wise, and that's because he is. He's figured some shit out over the last, like, 3 years, 4 years, done some big things. He's in our King's Council group, our 100K mastermind. John, thanks for being here, buddy, Sharon. All right, guys, here we go. Okay, so we have nailed this first obstacle, which is perspective, which is all around this idea of clarity. Everything that we're doing and living the Warriors way is about trying to gain ground and clarity. Part of how we do that is we live by the code, right? So the code is the solution to perspective. It's the ability to see truth. This is a skill set you are going to be learning how to live, which is living in the truth. It's crazy to think about the fact that this is even something that seems remarkable. Oh my God, you live in the truth. That's so remarkable. We live in a society that just has become addicted to the conversational lying. From the filters to the way we position, posture, people just don't tell the truth. So when you become somebody that's willing to tell the truth, your eyes open up. Your ability to see changes, but it comes with new challenges. So let's look at obstacle number 2. Obstacle number 2, once we've dealt with perspective, is being able to really nail the plan. Which is being able to say, what am I going to do? Plan becomes my conversation around confidence. While perspective is what I see, plan ultimately dictates, okay, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to change the current environment I'm in? If perspective is changing what I see, then planning is going to change what I do. Here's what I'm committed to doing. Here's the narrative or the frame that I'm going to operate off of from where I was at before. The powerful weapon and tool that we use in this place is the stack. The stack is our planning tool. People hear this and they're like, what do you mean planning tool? I'm like, yeah, this right here, the stack is a planning tool. The code opens up perspective. The stack begins to engage planning. People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, when you live the stacking lifestyle on a daily basis. I spent 90 minutes, almost 2 hours on my stack this morning. Some of you guys are, oh my God, 2 hours in your stack's too long. Not when you start to see the power of what a stack can give you. Stack gives you direct revelation, direct guidance to plan. It is the most powerful and potent thinking time that a businessman will do any day. Bring a guy back in and facing some problems or obstacles or chaos inside a business or life, inevitably this winds back to a place of not enough thinking time. There's just not enough thinking time. Because there's not enough thinking time, then inevitably the thinking to the action that's being taken gets off, and that getting off then has plans that don't make any sense. Now all of a sudden you find yourself behaving and doing and operating and doing things that you don't even know how you got there. The piece that allows us to do this is that stacking is looked at as a tool of production. It is a production tool. It is not a tool of emotional processing. That's not why we're stacking. The code gives us perspective. We overcome that obstacle. Now with the code, I've got to get into planning. But planning is a production tool. Stacking is a tool that allows me to gain confidence around myself, confidence around what I'm seeing, confidence about what I'm going to do next. So we have perspective, obstacle, overcome it with the code. 2, plan, what am I going to do? Attack with the stack. The stack allows me to address this issue in what I'm going to do. The single most important action that I take every day comes directly out of my stack. Sometimes that stack action may not be something I operate on for another 2-3 days, but it's an action that comes out of the bottom of the stack. Part of living the Warrior's Way, part of you living and being in a living experience of what you're learning inside the curriculum of the Warrior's Way is to learn to live with a stack as a weapon of planning, as a weapon of attacking, as a weapon of action. Not just feeling good. Not interested in you feeling good if your actions do not produce results that you desire. We have to get bold. We've got to be able to lock down bold, overcome obstacle 1 perspective, living by the code. How do we do this? We're telling the truth. Inside of telling the truth, now all of a sudden I qualify myself to enter the stack. The stack becomes a planning tool of confidence. How many of you sat in a situation in the stack where you've been addressing or attacking in the stack issues of lack of confidence in yourself or lack of stability inside of yourself? How many have done this before? Type in me in the chat. If you use this as a tool to address lack of confidence, uncertainty in you, this is one of the most powerful weapons I use every day to be able to build up my confidence, build up my certainty, build up the way I see myself, to shift and play with my perspective, because the active version of overcoming obstacle number 1 in perspective and then overcoming obstacle number 2 in planning is stacking. The code played out real time is done through stacking. It's not just an idea. I'm not just over here living it. It's an action. I live the code by stacking every day. That also translates then into how I operate around my entire life for the day. That's why individuals that put stacking at the end of the day, I'm like, are you trying to be powerful at the end of the day, or are you trying to be powerful all day? What are you talking about? Why would you wait to stack until the very end of the day unless you're using it as a strategy for melatonin, which is a way for you to mind dump all the shit in your head so you can go to sleep, which is great. Then do 2. Why would I start in the middle of the day or at the beginning of the day? The beginning of the day is where I find the power to go about being productive all day. Without that power, I'm going to struggle. If you're getting what I'm talking about, type in clear in the chat. Type in clear in the chat if you're getting it. We'll give you a third word. So we dealt with the first obstacle, perspective. Second obstacle, plan. Third obstacle is the conversation of power. So I may have a plan all day long, but my capacity to do what's required now becomes a challenge. So I've lived by the code, overcome perspective. I've attacked with the stack. I've now got a plan. I know what to do. I've got some actions. I've got my stories realigned and moving forward. Now I run into a challenge, which is now I know what to do, but being able to do it and knowing what to do are 2 different things. I know what to do, but I'm still not doing it. I know what to do, but I'm terrified to do it. I know what to do, but I'm not acting and moving forward. Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing this? Why is my power or my capacity constricted? Give you an example. There are times where my kids can be going ape shit. All 5 of them, losing their minds. All 5, 4 girls and my son, all can be losing their minds at the same time. Kids off the reservation. Wife's having a hard day, she's stressed out, she's triggered. There's all kinds of chaos going on in my house. 5 kids having issues, girlfriends and boyfriends and people all in the house. My wife's having a hard time. I can walk into that environment and my capacity is bigger than the triggers and the conversation and stress that my family is facing. I don't respond. He's yelling at this kid, and this kid's yelling at this kid, and this kid broke this other kid's shit. My wife's losing her mind, saying the teenagers need to lose this. Everybody's freaking out. And I walk in, I'm like, I got this. I got this. No problem. Then there's other situations where I've walked into a similar environment and I lose my shit worse than all the kids and my wife included. How many have done this and found yourself in this situation? Type in me. Type in me if you've been in this situation where your power has been constricted. We've watched situations where my wife will ask me something simple and I'll lose my shit. And she'll be like, I don't understand how you're losing your shit right now. It's like, well, because my capacity is restricted. If we look at the plan, and let's pretend like the plan is a level 3. We got 3 blocks in this, 1, 2, and 3. I got a level 3 plan that I need to execute on today. It's come out of my stack. It's part of my planning. I know what to do. It's not an issue of not knowing what to do. It's right there in front of me. 1, 2, 3, that's what I need to do. I roll up on this situation, but I find myself sitting at a 1.625 in power. I am smaller than the actual plan that needs to be executed. Hence, this is going to be feeling in this environment will feel overwhelming. Too much to bear. There's too much to do. I don't have enough time to market. I don't have enough time to learn how to develop more leads. I don't know how to sell. I don't know whatever it is. Inside a business, there's problems we're facing all the time, but we're super stressed out because what the plan is bigger than who we are. So it feels like it's too much. And most of us, instead of choosing to expand who we are to become bigger than the plan, we ultimately look at the plan as the problem. And so then instead of trying to expand who we are to execute on the plan, we will attempt to reduce or bring down the plan to a smaller level that matches where our current capacity is. Help me understand what I'm saying. Type in fire in the chat. This is an interesting conversation. It's an interesting reality to sit in. How you can take a plan and take it from a possibility to a problem simply because you're smaller than the plan. Here's exactly what you need to do. Yeah, but I'm too scared to do it. I'm too nervous to do it. I'm too weak to do it. I'm too tired to do it. All of those things are listed characteristics of being too small. This is why living inside of this the following, which is our ability to live the core. Living core 4 is about executing power. It's about expanding. It's taking me from a 1.625 and it's creating a bigger version of me that takes me up to a level 4. Now at a level 4, I am bigger looking down on the plan. I'm bigger than the plan, which means I can now take it on. Expand myself, shrink the problem. But I shrink the problem by expanding myself, but I don't actually change the problem outside of the sense that I changed. This is why, again, I can walk in a situation with my wife and my kids. In the past, I'd lose my mind. Right now, I don't lose my mind at all. Yelling, screaming, hitting, doing their thing. And I'm like, with each other, I'm like, whatever, it's good, let's go. I got this. In a car, you over here, we're fine. All the change, capacity. But that capacity conversation has to happen every single day. Just because you had capacity yesterday does not guarantee you have capacity today. So our process then in this is the game of overcoming obstacle 1, which is perspective, overcoming obstacle 2, which is the plan, overcoming obstacle 3, which is dealing with the conversation of power. We do this through the code, the stack, and the core. The code dealing with perspective, the stack dealing with conversation of planning, and ultimately dealing with the core, which is dealing with my power. All right, we're going to go into a teaching session with this, with your notes. We've got 3 obstacles we've talked about so far. We got 3 more to talk about. We've got how those link up directly to our tools. We've got power as our last conversation. We've dialogue. Core 4 is the ability to expand that power. When I live core 4 every day and I track it, my power expands. This in relationship with my stack allows me to execute on the plan, which again was obstacle number 2, and living by the code allows me to access and overcome obstacle number 1, which is perspective. Collapse those 2 together, and we have 2 tools so far that we've used, the stack and the core. Okay, if you're clear about what we're going to talk about and you're going to share, because we're going to go in a bit of a dialogue around what you're seeing with these last two obstacles with plan and power. Type in the word clear in the chat so I know that you're clear. Let's go. Type it in, type it in, type it in, type it in, type it in. Beautifully done, beautifully done. Okay, here we go. We're going to go to a 5-minute share on this. Same scenario. We're going to talk about the second two obstacles. We're talking about plan. We're going to talk about power and how the reality of the stack and the core both are transcending these two. All right, you know what to do, Rami. We got 4 or 5 per group. We're going 5 minutes on this share. 3, 2, 1, and off we go. Oh, look at that. Kyle doubled it up. All right. All right. Where's he going? Oh, I like it. He's got Eric doubled it up again. Nick's back for a 3-peat. I don't know how you guys are pulling this off at like 90. You guys must have paid off my team. Like, fuck it. We're getting in the middle. We got Chris and we got Robert. All right, Chris, talk to me. What are you seeing here with these final two, or these last two obstacles we've talked about with the plan and the conversation of power?
First, I've been in Warrior for now 2 years, and I've now, after 500 stats, gotten to the point of actually being honest. And I can change it. I would never go back. I would never retreat from this position. I'd rather die. Because I feel like I would be robbing myself and everything I've always promised myself since I was in my 20s in fantasy instead of reality.
Wow.
So, I can tell you, without failure, there is no retreating from here.
What's the biggest difference you see in your world living at this level of truth versus maybe the way you used to live?
My brother said it well a year ago. He goes, Chris, you're still making the same decisions, you're doing stuff because I've never seen this confidence in you before. And I don't talk to him about Warrior. He lives with me. I don't tell him. He just knows I'm doing other stuff than working, and I'm living my life a little bit beyond just my job.
Well done, my friend. Robert, what are you seeing here? Plan and power, the idea of stacking the core and overcome those two obstacles. What's coming up for you?
What's going on for me is what I'm finding is that journaling at the end of the day and just taking that thinking time to kind of reflect back on the day and get the reflections behind it. So a lot of my stacks have been kind of the open and the free stacks, where I take a look at my day and then I take a look at my meditation and then just kind of pull some revelations from that. So, you know, what's currently working, what do I need to kind of tweak on here? Like I know right now on the current rucking program, I'm not going to be able to complete it because I don't have the capacity right now to hit the metrics. So, you know, reflecting upon, okay, well, what do I need to do to get my APTF score up to 250? So that means I gotta start running every week and start, you know, training and doing doing like say the 100 push-up program, you know, things like that. So it's just forcing me daily to have the thinking time to try and figure out, okay, how do I increase my capacity so that I can hit these metrics in order to accelerate my body. And then the same thing that spilling over to business for me. I have a great inbound campaign, but I have no outbound game. So I'm going through reading, reflecting, building the foundation on the outbound campaign, pulling together the tech stack for it, pulling together the people for it, and then slowly developing that plan so when you guys start, you can get going.
Good. And all this is coming down to making iterative changes, being accountable to changes, increasing power, increasing plan, increasing perspective. Well done. Eric, what do you got?
Yeah, for me, it's the word capacity. So like I've been able to recognize the vision of where I want to go, compare that with reality where I am currently, and then seeing the gap between the two, recognizing that I need to become a larger person, a larger man, just with the capacity to be able to obtain the goals that I'm seeking. And so part of that is, again, with all the stripping away that we did last week, and looking at some of the core four, building into some of that confidence, starting with my body. Like the body is a big piece of that because I look at that in the mirror every single day, and that's a representation of where I've been lying to myself. So being able to have that confidence walking into the room is just a big, that's a huge piece for me right now. working on that, and that's gonna, I can see how that's gonna cascade into all the other areas as well.
Yes, sir. Nick, what do you got?
Bro, I got new power. I got new power in my core 4. I just, when you said my capacity is bigger than the triggers in the events before me, my family, wife, kids walk into chaos, or an employee quits and wants to sue me or threats, I just kind of like, even on the inside, I just feel like this. Like, I've already attacked my demons today. Dude, this is small potatoes. I'm a bigger man. I have more capacities now. I can handle this. I'm calm, cool, collected. I have a story about the stack too, but we're out of time. But for another time, this is powerful stuff, life-changing stuff, brother.
Well done. All of you are seeing this. Kyle, we're going to bring you up in front of the whole group. So again, 3 big obstacles. We got 3 more. You overcome these obstacles every day when you play the Warriors Way game. Well done, gentlemen. Back in the main group. All right. I got the controls. All right, let's see. Where is Kyle at? There he is. All right, Kyle, come on up. All right, Kyle, so what are you seeing here? What are you seeing with this plan and power conversation?
So for me, the one thing that stuck out when it comes to planning is confidence. And I think that I've had this shift in stacking the past couple of weeks. Like, I've been really weak, and I haven't been confident with my planning. And the thing that changed that was when you said that it's not an emotional processing tool, it's a production tool. And I've been using it for the longest time as an emotional processing tool. And just trying to deal with stuff versus looking at the actions and then going through with it. And I've done it the past couple of weeks, and I've seen that shift in my confidence. And that's allowed for me to go into the next part and actually look at the complexity of the situations and handle it better. One thing I am lacking is meditation, and I know that, like, if I add that one thing, it would change the game for me, like, drastically. And I always slack on it. I just usually just prayer, and I check the block with that. But, like, I need that silence to just process and shut down and listen.
How many of you know you need the same thing? Type in me. Type in me in the chat if you know. Yes. Yes. And Ron, it's not that it's not an emotional processing tool. It is. It's an emotional processing tool, but the frame on it is different. If all I'm doing is trying to heal myself emotionally, it's one thing. If I'm going in for a production move in order to build bigger results and do bigger shit, it's a totally different frame than going in. There's a lot more intensity around, we found, for guys going in on this as a conversation to produce bigger results than just, I want to feel better. Like, it's just different. Just different container as we're going in. Kyle, great share. Well done. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's keep dancing. We got a few more things to lock down today. Here we go. Get your notes out. Meditation, by the way, one of the reasons why we are leading you through a multiple day meditation retreat. And as part of Warrior Launch, you have to have graduated from this 2-day intensive with us virtually, is because of the fact that we know how much meditation matters, and we know how 5 minutes on Headspace, although wonderful, is just not going to get it done. Like, it's just not going to get it done. Like, there's a whole mantra-based meditation and really understanding meditation. It's something I've been doing for now 13 years. I've been meditating every day, 20 minutes to 40 minutes every single day, literally 7 days a week. My wife knows I escape in the middle of the days to go do it. Middle of the day meditation, early morning meditation, afternoon meditation. Like, this is part of who I am. It's a skill set, and it's all part of the core, which is power. Now, let's look this a little bit further. We've got to take ourselves down a deeper path now of looking at our next problem in the conversation. Our next problem is a conversation of production. So we dealt with perspective. That was obstacle number 1, right? We dealt with plan. That was obstacle number 2. We dealt with power, which was obstacle number 3, and then production, which is actual commitment. And this is you being committed to go, right? The work is not warrior. Warrior is the work that allows us to go get the work done. Sometimes people get confused and think, well, warrior is my work. I was like, warrior's not your work. Warrior is the means to the end. It's an ideology and an operating system for living that allows you to get the results that you are after across body, being, balance, and business. The outcome of those results is our mission. Our mission is not for you to become a master of the Warriors way. Our mission is for you to win the impossible game. And to predictably win the impossible game year after year after year after year in a compounded way, so that 12 months from now, 24 months from now, 36 months from now, the man here and the man in 36 months, it's impossible. You look at these two and you're like, how is it possible that this is the same guy? I don't even recognize that guy. And by the way, that's you talking about yourself. That's not anybody else. People outside of you are like, I don't even know what to do with you. There's individuals who meet me who have known me for 10, 15 years, haven't seen me in the last 7, 8, 9 years. They meet me now and they're like, they don't even know where to put me. They're like, I don't even know what to do. It's like, you're the same guy, but like, you're not the same guy at all. And I'm like, yeah. But like, dude, I knew you back when A, B, and C. I was like, dude, A, B, and C was a totally different season of my life. Like, who I am now, totally different than who I was. So our production is our ability to focus on what to do. So our planning and our power are giving us directions, but it's also being able to focus down our energy and efforts into specific moves. It's not about doing more. It's about doing more of the right shit. A lot of the way you're going to be able to pull this off across body, being, balance, and business is the fact that the actions that you're taking are strategic in nature and they have been well thought out, and your action is a game of committed production daily. The tool or the weapon that we use to pull this off inside of Warrior is the door. The door is a weapon. It's a do list and an action list. It's a game of focused production, predominantly used in business, but can be used across the board in all categories. Your production is what matters. Everything else we've done has been overcoming the obstacles that stand in the way of production. Doing what's required in business, doing what's required in your body, your being, your balance. You gotta remember, Warrior was built as a mechanism to make more money. That's why I built the game. Like, I uncovered it because I was trying to find a way for me to make more money. It was 2008 and 2009. I had lost all my money. My businesses were gone, and I was trying to figure out how to fucking put my life back together. I struggled with perspective. I struggled with planning. I struggled with the game inside of power. I struggled with production. See, it's possible that you could have the power and still not do what you need to do. You could have a plan, have the power, and still not produce. Can you clear my mutes real quick? So it's possible, which seems crazy. Seems crazy that you could actually have production or the ability to do what's required. That committed action could become an obstacle, even when you have these three already done. My perspective is clear, bam, code. My plan is on point, bam, stack. My power is on point, bam, core. And then I come over to the actual meaningful movements, and I still end up in a place where I don't get results that I'm wanting. Yet, over and over and over again, this is what we saw here at Warrior, over and over and over again for the past decade, we've watched this happen. Hence the reason why the door was created. This and your ability to think through the critical actions that need to be taken on a daily basis is the next obstacle. The plan is the overarching direction. Power is the capacity to execute on the plan. Production is the minute details and the project breakdown of what needs to occur and in what sequence. The plan says, here's where we're going. Production says, here's the detail what I'm doing this morning between 8 and 12. Here are the key critical actions that I'm taking today inside of marketing, inside of sales, inside of business development, inside of leadership. Here are the key actions that I must take, which are totally different than the plan. The plan is the concept of where we're going. Power is the capacity to execute on the plan. Production are the simple, detailed steps that I'm taking that don't seem like a big deal when I'm doing them, but are movement makers. They're the hinges on the doors that make shit fly. If you're following me right now with this, type in, I get it. Type in, I get it. Type in, I get it. Like, I want you to see, this is like 10 years in the making of colliding all these ideas together with actual tools, software, curriculum, and ideas that allow for you to see this is not this is not programmed. This is a comprehensive operating system overhaul. We're going to strip your operating system and we're going to replace it with a new one. So production becomes the next obstacle, which is ultimately facing a challenge we call the chaos of abundance. How do I deal with the chaos of abundance? We do it through the door. The door is a way of thinking. The door is a way of operating specifically with taking the actions that matter. inside the door, you'll find out that we're really only talking about 4 critical moves on a daily basis in the game of business and money. You might have 15 other things that you're doing, but those do's don't replace the critical must-do's. That's how you get into a place where you can do a lot of busy shit. You can be about a lot of things and still not hit the results that you are after. How many have had this experience happen to you? Type in me. Lots of shit getting done, but most of it's the wrong shit. Yep. This is why my wife would look at me and she keep being irritated. She's like, I appreciate the fact that you're putting in all this energy and effort. We still can't pay the bills, so go fuck yourself. I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, that makes sense. Yep, I deserve that one. I get it. I see where you're coming from. So this obstacle that precedes it then, as we're sitting back and we're looking at the obstacle before it. I'm going to get this to go down. Hold on. What just happened to my tablet? I can't change pages. Hold on. Where did it go? There it is. Oh, I don't know why this bar just like reached up. All right, we'll go to a new one. That's super fucking weird. I don't know why that just happened. Why did it just do that? Rami, you have any idea why this entire bar on the bottom of this tablet just like is blocking the whole thing now? That's a no. Do you see what I'm talking about? I can't even see the page moving forward right now. Something slid up on the studio. It's all right, fuck it. We'll figure it after. I'll just go with this. Okay, so my production allows for me to dance in a committed action moving forward. But unfortunately, amidst it, it's not just you operating in a vacuum. There's another obstacle, which is the obstacle of people. You can't get where you want to go without people. Your connections matter. Like, they matter. Like, who is in your circle? Who is on your team? Who are your clients? They matter. So I can nail all the rest of this. I can nail, oh shit, hit the wrong one, hold on. Whatever this thing did after we get done, Rami, I want you to figure out why this happened so that it doesn't happen to me again. Let's see it, there we go. Hold on. If I come back to perspective, here's this first problem, and I look at this obstacle, my perspective opens up an opportunity for me to see. I live by the code and I can see. Fantastic. Great. That's isolated. That's me with me. I go to the second one. Plan. Same situation. I attack with a stack. I open up a plan. I can start to conceive of a possibility and a direction. Again, that's me with me. I come into power. I now hit my core 4. Again, another situation that is me with me. Now my capacity expanded. I come in the next piece. Production. This is me taking specific and deliberate action. Specifically looking at what we call inside the door, the hit list, and me dominating with 4 critical moves on a daily basis that need to happen to move the money game in my world forward. Now I come to the second and final obstacle, which is dealing with people. Most of you are not that great at dealing with people. You're okay. You're good enough to get where you are. But in order to get where you're going to have to go, you're going to have to learn how to deal with people at a totally different level. Like a level that you've never operated with them before. In a way, and having a conversation and an experience with people in a way that you never had that as experience before. This means you're going to actually have to be able to lead. So everything that we've done in the work actually now prepares you to get to work with people. Everything. The code, the stack, the core, the door, all of this is now part of the game, which is dealing with people. The game is about you enrolling your wife, your kids, your teams, your customers, the marketplace, prospects. It's about enrollment. One of the most powerful tools for enrolling is the power and skill sets learned in stacking. Stacking teaches you to reframe your own reality. And in reframing your own reality, it allows you to lead and influence and reframe others. So you can take seduction classes, you can take persuasion classes, influence classes, you can do all of those. At the end of the day, those are all about leading people. People are the ultimate outcome of the Warriors Way. But in order to get there, we got to get our perspective, our plan, our power, and our production to line up. As those line up, it will put us in a place to what? To win with people. People are not the obstacle, and yet they are an obstacle if you don't know how to lead them. No matter what you do, and no matter who you are, and no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you think about politics or religion, what you think about God or not, human beings are human beings. And human beings are influenced. And your ability to lead and influence them comes down to your capacity to live the Warriors Way. There is not a more attractive and more potent and more powerful version of you than a version of you that is living all in across the code, stack, the core, the door, and now the game opens up with people. How many of you see this? How many of you see this? How many of you are letting some things connect here? Type in me. Type in me in the chat if you're starting to see this, like you're starting to see the connection between all this. All of the previous things are done by yourself until you now get to engage with people. Now engaging with people is where creation and the game begins. People are the answer. People, your wife, your kids, your partners, your teams, your customers, your prospects, your strategic partners, all of these people are waiting for the most powerful version of you to show up. So when I come back and I say, listen, the point of our game here is to reveal, is that we're coming back to a game of leading from what you live. I say, I'm here to lead from what I live. Okay, great. Well, what does that mean? That means that I'm stepping into a framework that says I have a few obstacles to be able to lead. First one I have is my own perspective. Second one I have is my ability to plan from that perspective. My plans are completely hijacked by my perspective. My plan and my capacity or my power to be able to execute on the plan that was derived from the perspective. My production or my commitment to do what is required from that plan that is directly related to my power, all of this is leading me to engaging powerfully with people. We're going to go into a share on this. I want you to see this. This concept right now, like once you get this, you can't unget it. Of all the industries and all the businesses and all the games that you could be involved in, the game of people is the only game that will stand the test of time. It's recession-proof, it's market-proof, it's industry-proof. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what currency we're using. It doesn't matter. It does not care. From the beginning of time, it has not cared. Your ability to lead people is the ultimate purpose of the Warriors Way. Because without leading people, you will never be able to have it all. You will never be free. Your freedom is directly linked up to your capacity to lead people. And so these first four inside of our game, we're living the code, the stack, the core, the door, but the ultimate game is the game of people. But I can't understand the game of people and leading other people if I can't lead myself. The first person that has to be led is me, and I do that through perspective, plan, power, and production. I do that through the code, the stack, the core, the door, in order to qualify and prepare myself for the game. And the ultimate game is people, because without people, I will never be able to hit the impossible game. I cannot hit the impossible game in balance without my wife. I can't hit the impossible game in balance without my children. I can't hit the impossible game in business without other fucking people. I can't do it without team members, without customers, without strategic partners. I can't. It's impossible. There's no possible way for me to hit me on possible game inside a body if I'm super fit, but I got nobody to engage with. All leads to one thing, which is people. But first we have to deal with you as a person. So we're going to go into breakout on this. We're going to talk about this for 5 minutes. I want to see where you're at with this. Where are you at on this concept so far that the first 4 obstacles led us to the biggest obstacle, which is people? And that's what stands in the way as an accelerant or a obstacle to you getting what you want, which is the primary purpose for living the Warriors way, which is to engage with people and to be the most powerful man that walks in the fucking room. That when you walk in, people listen. That when you talk, people pay attention. That when you say we're going this direction, that people follow you. When you say something to your wife, she trusts you. When you stand in your community, in your society, inside of your community where you live, you are the standard for what it is to be a man and to be a leader. If you're clear about what we're going to talk about in this breakout, type in clear in the chat so I know you're clear. Type in clear in the chat so I know you're clear. We're going to talk about this. This is the ultimate outcome of living the Warriors way, is your ability and capacity to lead and deal with the biggest obstacle on the planet, which is people. It's not, sun. It's not overheating. It's not hurricanes. It's people. All right, here we go. We got 5 minutes on the clock, 4 to 5 people per group. 3, 2, 1. Off we go. I don't know how Nick keeps pulling this off. Nick is like winning some kind of fucking lottery. He just continues to like somehow ended up in my group every single time. I'm starting to think there is some serious fishy shit going on around here. All right, let's go. Kelly, give it to me. What are you seeing here with this people conversation?
For me, it seems like lately I've just been put in situations where it's I'm listening, I'm learning, trying to take everything I can and take it in my community, be over what I've already gone through in the past 3 or 4 months, and take everything in so that when I can go into the environment, go into the community, this is how I can lead, this is how I can show up. I can be the husband for my wife, I can be the father for my daughter by taking everything that I've put in to show up and be present and be there for them.
Great start. Great start. Jeremy, what do you see it? What'd you add to that?
Sorry, I kind of joined me like halfway through this conversation.
It's all right.
How I see this in my life is, like last year I hit like the fucking wall in my life and wanted to level up my company and all that, so I took on my body as a stepping stone. And I knew that I had to level up myself to be able to lead my company to the next level. And that's basically what you're drawing out here. And I am new to this whole thing, so it's a lot.
It is.
But I see how it's, getting the code or living the code and using the stack and the tools that you're giving to basically become the best version of yourself that you can be, because that's the only place that people will follow you from. You can't be any less than that.
Well, for being a new guy on the block, well fucking done. Love it.
Thank you.
Okay, Greg, what do you got besides great hair?
For me, the reason why I do this is for the people in my life. My family, my kids, my wife. And for the last year, I've shown up differently, which is focused on relationships. I haven't done any really work in terms of business. And now I'm in a position where I have to go back to hustling so that I can provide for those people. So I provide love, but not income. We had enough to survive for a year, obviously. I didn't have work for my whole year. My son was born, but my third son, I should say. But now it's like, scarcity is setting back in, and I'm getting, scattered, and that's not a nice place to be, because I want to, give everything that I can for my kids, give everything I can for my wife, go on vacations whenever I want. For me, people is everything. You can't live as a hermit unless you want to be a monk.
And you see exactly why the game was built, which is the teeter-totter game that most guys go through. All in dad, oh shit, we're out of money. All in business, forget the kids. Oh shit, now my wife hates me, my kids don't even know my name. Back with the kids. Oh fuck, my body's falling apart, need to go work out. Oh shit, I need to go find Jesus. All right, fuck, I'm broke again.
100%. I actually lived away from my kids for 6 months, starting a factory.
So that's what caused me to then tip the other way. It
Yep.
was too much. It came back broken.
Yep.
So.
We're gonna learn how to drive and navigate that thing with a little more efficiency. Well done. Nick, what are you seeing?
Brother, I got this message, flying away on the airplane from Vegas I work on for people is the outcome. People is the outcome. I left money and what my business is worth on the altar at WarriorCon 4 inside that studio. I gave it to the Holy Spirit and I said, take it, it's yours. He said, I know it's mine, it's been mine the whole time. Idiot. People is the outcome. On Monday morning after WarriorCon 4, I gave the greatest speech in the history of my career, leading 10 people. I have 100 employees, the top 10 leadership. I spoke for 30 minutes not about systems and processes and strategies and money, not about money, fuck the money. I said everything but actual fuck the money, but everyone got the message. The message was it's about the people and it's about the impact that we're making. We make the world a better place, one vote right at a time. We make families happier, we unite fathers and daughters, we unite mothers and sons. The phones are gone, the tablets are gone. When our customers are using our products and services, they are happier. That is what we provide to the world. And that was me for 30 minutes saying that on Monday. People is the outcome, brother. I get it loud and clear. It's deep on the inside and it can't be undone. People is the outcome.
Well done. Well, Choo Choo Rutherford, Gotch. What is this Choo Choo Rutherford? What is this all about?
I took my wife's laptop at work.
All right, well, we're going to call you Choo Choo. We're going to hey, what's up, Choo Choo? You're like, hey, I got my wife's laptop. All right, well, guess what? Choo Choo, what's your real name?
Paul.
Paul. All right, Paul, well, we're going to probably still call you Choo Choo anyways. So now that nickname's going to stick for life. You can tell your wife, thank you very much. When we get back to the main group, I'm going to bring you in and have you share with everybody. So great job, gentlemen. Great shares. All of you love the fire, Nick. Kelly, great job. Jeremy, great job. Greg, great job. And Choo Choo, a.k.a. Paul Gotch Rutherford. Going to be with us here in just a second to share in front of the group. Here we go. It's not too often we get a man inside of our programs that has such a potent and powerful name. He's a man who, truly has gone to the depths of finding a man that's masculine, it's intense, it's powerful. Let me bring him to the stage. Here's your share for this breakout. Let go. I got it. Here we go. Wait. Where'd he go? Oh, shit. Where'd he go? There he is. Read down the bottom left. Type that name into the chat. It's a beautiful name. It starts with a C, ends with a who, a choo-choo, a choo-choo. Type in that choo-choo chat. Let's go. Choo-choo. All right, his name's actually Paul, and he's using his wife's laptop for today, so I'm just fucking with it. Paul, give it to me. What are you seeing here with this, buddy?
This is quite a change from Kingship. It's all about, not about me, it's about people. And that's how we get things done, through people. At work, what I'm trying to do too is, before I tap out and I get really old, I'm trying to bring some values in there, and one of them was tell the truth. And that's become, when you deal with machinery, you can't lie about machinery. Machinery is or it isn't. And you have to find trouble with it, but people are really hard to deal with.
Big time.
They are, because they're emotional, so am I. So we try to all that fuzzy logic, get rid of it. I'm not walking the Warriors' way. I'll tell you, I saw Nick up on stage. That's where the do not. So that's me.
Well done, my friend. I love that you're here. And I love that you're using your wife's laptop. And I love that we get to call you Choo Choo for the rest of your life, which is going to be great. See, both those nicknames will stick for Paul. So, Nick, I told you, you have an impact on a lot of people with what you did and what you're willing to do. I appreciate you continuing to be an example with that. That'll echo like the silent 42-minute speech by Sean Whalen. There'll be a few things that over years will just kind of stick. 2022 WarriorCon 4, at least some things that showed up that really mattered, that made a difference. I'm going to give you the last one. Last game here, last obstacle. Last obstacle to lock all this down. On the other side of people is the conversation of profit. So when we step back and we look at this entire model, I say, all right, listen, I've got these 6 obstacles I got to overcome. The outcome is profit. And our desire is to lock down profit across all 4 domains of body, being, balance, and business. We call this having it all. That's the outcome. Like having it all. This is not a theory anymore for us. It was a theory for a while. I was convinced it was possible, and I was having it all at levels. And then I continued to push and continued to push and continued to push. And I said, I will become the #1 case study of this process and this belief system, this ideology, this operating system, or else I'll shut it all down. And I did. I became the #1 case study of this entire process, which is how it should be. Now I just invite people to beat me. Do it bigger, do it better, do it faster, do it more efficient. So this is a piece that has been available to you, that is made available to you now that wasn't available years ago. 2018, we had a lot of things different than what we have right now. You know, the word King's Kit was Paul was referencing King's Kit. That was like a big push we had in 2018. WarriorCon 3, 1,500, almost 2,000 men in person. WarriorCon 3, we had like 15,000 men go through the King's Kit challenge. During that time, there were a lot of guys who were part of that original group who were coming through in 18, but we had a big problem in 18 that we don't have in 2022. Here's what they are. There are 4 specific issues that we had. Number 1, we didn't have any of the books. So this was a massive issue. That means 100%, nearly 100% of the curriculum was just inside my head or inside the minds and hearts of the trainers. So there were no books. Ultimately, I wrote the Warrior Box. Some of you asked questions about how do we get copies of physical books, etc. We're working on all that. Details for that are going to come available for you this week. So we got the books. The books sat down. So in 2019, I wrote the Warrior Box. This box right here. This big black box with code, stack, core, the door of the game. We live by code, attack with a stack, shield with the core, knock on the door, win the impossible game. Wrote the books. 2020, we created the coursework. Which was a massive undertaking. From 2020 into 2021, we created the war maps, which were how do you take the books and the coursework and put them together in a sequential way that would make sense. This is what you're getting at the highest level inside of Warrior Launch this year and into next year. And then the last piece was the app. This took 4 years for me to put all this together. And prior to that, it took me 6 years to get to a place where the concept, it took us 6 years to get to concept, 3 years before that for me to prove it in my own life. 9 years of concept, 4 years of creation to get to one simple piece, which was the ability for me to launch you. We had everything we needed, from the books, to the coursework, to the maps, to the app. All of this in play to support a man and being able to win and have it all. It wasn't a theory anymore for us. Our desire to hit this result, and the result in this last piece was the conversation of profit. How do I get a man to a place where he can win this final obstacle, which is this game of profit? How do I assure that he can have it all? What is going to be required? And I just knew. I knew back then in 2018, as harsh as it was at the time, I was sitting on stage in 2018 WarriorCon, and I knew I wasn't ready to lead this at that level. I knew the company wasn't ready to sustain it. I knew we did not have the backbone, the support of the resources to be able to support a man and having it all at the level that I knew we were called to do it. And so we went back to the drawing board. Meanwhile, what happened during all these times too? What was going on in 2020, 21, and some part of 2022? This big, huge wear a diaper on your face campaign. What was happening? Type it in the chat. What was going on? What happened? Yeah, the vid. Big vid. Big shutdown. The crazy part is I sit and I look at that and I thought, how crazy and fun is it that God used me during the time that that was all occurring to perfect all this. We started shutting things down before all that happened and started pivoting the direction of where Warrior was going before even the beginning initial shutdown started happening. Our game became really centrally focused, which is how do we launch Warriors? How do we wake a man up? How do we activate the king? Our goal here for you is to leverage these tools right here, to leverage these tools and these assets to be able to have it all. Our ultimate goal is that you become so efficient inside of it that what sits on your cell phone, as crazy as may sound, but that what sits on your cell phone with the Warrior app, that app itself becomes the gateway to freedom. That your tribe is in the software with us, that your content's in the software, that your community's in the software, that your conversation's in the software, and that inside the Warrior app, we are able to, as a brotherhood and as a group of men, overcome the 6 obstacles, and inside of that, obtain the one thing that matters, which is having it all. How many can see how much work has been done on this in the last 4 years? Some of you, you're just new, so you don't even know. You're just like, okay. How many can see this? Type in hell yes in the chat if you can see what's been done. People thought I disappeared. They're like, Gary J. White quit and disappeared. He sucks. I was like, well, you're probably right. I do suck at some things for sure. There's just a fuck ton of work. Fuck ton of work that went into being able to put this thing together. The last piece available then is simply you being willing to do the work. Like, that's it. For somebody that we're pulled in now, you're just pulled in a season when the fastest access to results here in Warrior is available now. There's never been a time. You're going to watch men, and there'll be men inside of Warrior Launch. There will be men that accomplish in 12 months what took our men 4 to 6 years to accomplish before. We have thousands of people stacking every single day. The limitation we used to have on this was that the only way you were going to be able to have a conversation was to join a call. That's why these calls here, this live call, is about hot seating you on the application, the living of the Warriors Way. You're going to learn here based upon the customization of the game as you live the game here. The learn call is about dialoguing the content and the curriculum. The live call is about exactly what it's called, living it. It's about the customization of it. It's about the implementation of the stack. It's about changing and adjusting the way and perfecting the way you stack, going deeper in your core 4, getting more strategic and getting your brain to think through how you operate in the door. What is your hit list? What is your hot list? How does this work? How do I adjust my fact maps on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis? What do my monthly missions look like? How do I put all of this game together? And it is a lot. It's a lot. So the temptation could be, well, you know what? It's too much. It's too much. Too much. Is there an easier way? So yeah, there's an easier way. Just don't have it all. That's the easier way. And one of our brothers on here said, listen, I spent 6 months working and getting a factory up. Was gone from my family for 6 months. Promised I'd never do that again. So he came home and spent the last year and a half with his family. And rebuilt those relationships and restored it and had their 3rd baby and is doing some amazing things with his family only to start running out of money. And now he's in scarcity trying to dig out. And brother, I get you. We're not here to play this bouncing back and forth game. I am telling you, you are here to settle into becoming an unbreakable man. It's terrifying who you're actually capable to become. And you won't even be aware of how powerful you have become as you live this way until it occurs. It'll happen 9 months, 12 months, 18 months from now. The comments from people around you will be so frequent in what they see from you, it will become normal. You'll have moments where you glimmer back and look at who you used to be and you'll be disgusted. You'll actually be perplexed at how you ever tolerated living a life the way you did before. It will seemingly be impossible. You're like, I don't understand how I thought that was living. How did I think that was living? That's insanity. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? Type in truth. Type in truth in the chat. My life right now is like, honestly, it's like there's pieces where it's just fucking crazy. I have moments with my wife sexually, emotionally, mentally. I have moments with my kids playing, participating, holding my baby, rocking, feeding her a bottle. I have 5 kids, live in a $22 million home, supercars in my garage. I'm fit and walking around 46 with a six-pack. I know how to commune directly with God in a way that defies anything anyone religiously taught me growing up. I have teams that I love, clients that I desire, 2 8-figure brands, building and living a life that just a few years back would have seemed absolutely fucking impossible. Gentlemen, learning to live the warrior's way is about doing exactly that. It's about making the impossible possible. This call in the Live call is about guiding you through the software. It's guiding you through the tactical days today. It's about helping you become a weapon inside of the content in its application. The Learn call is about getting the concepts and containers into your mind. Here, we're here to overcome the 6 obstacles that will hold you back from the profitable results of having it all. It is my honor to be here with you. It's my honor to have all the teams here with you. It's an honor to have put in all this work to be able to get us to this place. Hours beyond hours, beyond hours, beyond hours of tens of thousands of hours that have been put in by myself and our teams to get us to this exact place, a place where many of you are stepping in and going to get bigger results in the next 12 months than men could get in 4 to 5 to 6 years after investing $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 with us in the beginning. And their results were off the fucking charts compared to anything we'd ever seen. You have stepped into Warrior at a time and a season when the speed to results has never been faster. The only element that will be missing from this equation is not the what to do. It will not be the weapons. It will not be the support. It will not be the trainers. It will not be the community. It will not be the tools. It will not be the software. It will not be the books. It will not be any of it. It will be one simple thing. It will be because you chose to fucking fail. Because you chose to not do the work. Here in Warrior Launch, our job is to launch you. Here, we're here to support you in that launch. Here, we're here to support you and becoming everything that you desire to be. So we're going to wrap up today's call. Go ahead and close your eyes. Let's bring a little closure to this. A little closure tonight. 3 o'clock here on the West Coast. 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Take a deep breath in and release. And deep breath in. Release. And deep breath in. And release. God, we're thankful for today. Just to be alive, to be here, to be participating in this experience called life. And some of the men here on this call today are getting it, and others are still on the fringe of understanding it. But Father, at the end, I ask you that we would help them get it truly. Not necessarily the warrior's way, that's just tools and mechanisms, but that they would get you in their life, that they would come to understand the power of what's waiting for them. That the purpose of their life and being here inside of this place was not to survive, it was not to endure, but they were put here to create, put here to experience, put here to evolve, put here to reveal. And Father, I ask that you would confirm that this week with them. As they continue on their path of learning, they continue on their path of leveraging and living this way, and leveraging your word in connection with them, that there will be moments over the next couple of days where the confirmation they're looking for about the go light, green light on this game would open up and occur. That there would be a certainty that would fill their hearts, that there would be a clarity that would fill their minds, that there would be a ultimate understanding of who they truly are and what is truly possible. that this would become a reality for them, that it would become part of their world as a conversation, not just in theory or in their minds, but in their hearts. That their spouses and their children would start to feel the difference in them, that their hearts would be turned to you, and that their desires would be turned to their families, and that these desires to lean into you and to take a knee and to guide and to lead and inspire and love their family and their wife and their children, that this would pour out into the streets of their relationships and business, and that what they do in business with their teams and with their customers and with their strategic partners and with the people that they associate with day to day, that there would be a noticeable difference in who they are. That just in the energy and the tone and the vibration of who they are, that Father, as they're speaking, that people would speak in a way, that these men would speak in a way that others would hear your voice, that they would find moments of inspiration, even channeling fire in a way that seems revelatory, in a way that seems to defy the logic of what they've understood themselves capable to do in the past. That week by week here in this place, in this program, that here inside of Warrior with these men, these initial group inside of Warrior Launch, that they would have the courageous way to start living this way and ultimately start pursuing the path of freedom through having it all with you. And we say this, we wrap up this day, this call, here, call number 2 of the day on the Live Call with Warrior Launch. In Jesus' name, amen. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your evening. Have an amazing rest of your week. Look forward to being with you guys here next week. That's it for today. This is Garrett J. White, sign off, saying love and light. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.